All right, welcome to a brand new podcast. Today we have Darius Matthews with us.
Sure.
Yeah, it is a great day to be here. So yeah, thank you for sharing some time with us today.
Yeah, appreciate y'all having me.
Time to be available.
Absolutely.
Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's. Yes, sir. Day of love, man.
Right. Well, I met Darius through coaching. We both coached at West Jordan High together, and he was a D-line coach. Came on as a D-line coach, kicked me out of D-line. I was coaching D-line. He came in, kicked me out, and I went to O-line, which is cool. O-line all day, you know what I mean? See with your hands, think with your feet, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I like to say we changed that program around as well. West Jordan went for a certain amount of years, almost a decade without making it to the playoffs. And he came on after I coached there 2 seasons as a D-line coach, and then when he came on my 3rd season, I moved to O-line. We coached for 2 seasons over there, still made it to the playoffs, and sent some kids out to D1 and to other colleges as well. But we were able to, put a impact in these kids' lives as coaches. And right now we're coaching at different high schools now. I'm at Harriman and you're at
Mountain Ridge.
So shout out to Coach Mayfu and doing his thing. And that's who our head coach was as we were coaching at West Jordan.
Yes, sir.
And man, let's just get into it. Tell us who you are and what you're about, and where you're coming from. And I know you're from West Jordan. You attended West Jordan High School as well.
West Jordan through and through.
Let's just start with that.
Yeah, man. Well, y'all know, you already said my name, Darius Matthews. Right now I'm a coach. That's what I love to do. I know that's my life's purpose. It's to impact, young men, young women, whatever it is, coaching, mentoring. And that's what my full-time job is outside of football. I'm a supervisor at a troubled youth facility, mentoring young at-risk kids, who deal with drug addiction, mental illness, depression, all those different things. And I'm able to kind of be a beacon of hope, hopefully, or, a source of, knowledge, whatever it may be. Like New said, I grew up in West Jordan. I played high school football there. Dub J. It's going to be weird because Mountain Ridge, West Jordan's going to be in our region this year, so that's a little bittersweet.
And Harriman.
So we get to see you too.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's a family affair. I played Little League at Copper Hills. Ended up going to West Jordan. From West Jordan, ended up getting a scholarship to play at Dixie State. I played 5 years at Dixie, redshirted a year, became an all-conference football player there, got to play in an all-star game. And that's where I found out I wanted to be a mentor. I've always wanted to do it since I was a kid. I remember in elementary school, I used to get in fights over the special ed kids because people would be rude to them, and here I am throwing punches because it's just not right. You know what I mean? So
you're kind of superhero.
Trying to be.
Superhero coming on.
Not Black Panther, more like Fat Panther. But, that's just always been something I've loved to do. And, coaching, once I was done with football, you struggle with that identity of, God, I've been a football player my whole life. What am I, outside of that? And I did some soul searching for a while, who am I without the helmet on? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to realize, well, you're Darius Matthews, you know what I mean? And that kind of led me into mentoring and all those different things. And then coaching presented itself, and Mayfu called me, and, I was like, man, this is a way to stay connected to the game, but also do what I want to do as far as speaking and mentoring kids. So that's kind of who I am, not too extravagant. First and foremost, I like to consider myself as a man of God. I struggle every day, but trying to be one. Trying to be a good one anyway.
Yeah.
So that's me.
That's awesome. Yeah, being with you, I see a lot of kids respect you. A lot. We know some of the kids over at West Jordan where they were kind of sad that you were leaving. And I know that you was trying to get the head coaching job over at West Jordan after Mayfu stepped down.
Yeah.
And it didn't go your way, and so you just thought you'd just go try your coaching skills somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the kids are You know, just to show those kids that really cared about a coach leaving, it just showed how much of an impact you had on those kids. Yeah. So they loved your skill, or they loved your teaching skill. They loved how you were able just to comprehend, have them comprehend what you're trying to teach them, but not just I remember just sitting around and you would just quote stuff from the Bible just all of a sudden. It's just from the Bible. But then you also quoted, athletes, and you started talking about the influences that other athletes had on you. You would teach it to them, you know. And so tell us a little bit about that, about, kids. Why do kids are more... I talked about this about in our last podcast. It was more to Polynesians, but what makes you unique, and what makes the kids more attentive to you? What are you bringing to them? What is your I don't know. What is your theme that that you bring to these kids to make sure that these kids have just a good time learning the game of football? But at the same time, you try to put some life lessons in there.
That's a great question. I'd have to say, in one word, it'd be balance. I think, and especially for me, it was never about, necessarily what the coach knew. I guess the coach having knowledge played a big part, but it was always, do I feel that this person genuinely cares about me as a human being? Does he care about me outside of the helmet and the shoulder pads? Does he care about what I'm doing when I go home? And I feel like that's the style I try to bring to every kid I come in contact with, to let them know, hey, man, I love you. I care about you. And I'm going to try to get the best out of you. You may not be the best athlete, and you've seen that, I had quarterbacks playing defensive end and, helped them somewhat figure it out. But, I just feel like that's the most important thing for me. That's how my grandmother was as a human being. You just felt love around her, you know what I mean? And I was always around her, and I feel like she blessed me with that, So I always try to let the kids know, whether it be through, teaching them something, a concept, laughing with them, telling a joke, laughing at one of their jokes, validating how they feel, and even getting down, getting on them. There's got to be a balance and that's where balance comes in, is being able to bring the hammer down and then being able to build it back up with that same hammer. I try to do a lot of that so that the kids know, oh shoot, coach isn't just here, for his own gain. He's here because he actually wants to see me go play college football. Yeah.
And you know what, just to talk on that, just to add on that, I do that with my kids. Mm-hmm. I grew up where you told what to do. Right. You know what I mean? And if physical part is part of it, that's just part of it. That's just how we grew up.
Me too.
But now, if I tell my kids something to do, and if it comes out as an anger, as an anger issue or something I'm mad at them about, I will address the issue by sitting side by side. Do you know why I did this? Right. Do you know you made a mistake? And then you just start talking to them. And with you saying that, I think that's a good thing about you, because I've seen you yell at these kids, but then you take them aside. And it's like, hey, I'm saying those things because I see potential in you, and I see that you can be better. Yeah. Even if the kid is. There's plenty of kids that are out there. They're not very talented, but because they're out there and they're trying to make something of themselves, we know as an adult, that they're gonna take this in their life and like, I played football. I was able to, play football here and there. I wasn't very good, but I was just part of the team. So they start taking, little things that they learn from the coach and from the team, being, having that camaraderie, just learning how to be a teammate, because when you go out in that world, you're gonna have to work with other people. So, but go ahead, continue on.
No, that was really it, man. I mean, just you want to see these kids be successful in whatever it is that they do. Like you said, I'm able to, I have kids now in Mountain Ridge, that have come to me in tears because they feel comfortable talking to me. You know what I mean? And I'm the type of person, I don't like to say I can make people cry, but I can usually feel. When a kid is dealing with something, like, hey, man, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, I don't want to talk about it. No, yeah, you do. That's why you came in here, So, Mountain Ridge has been a blessing because, West Jordan, we had kids who were a lot like us. You know what I mean? had to scrap, had to fight.
Yeah.
Had to do what they had to do to get where they are. And that's not to say that some of these Mountain Ridge kids don't have to work for what they have, because they do. But there are a lot of kids who haven't had that. So it's a totally different kid. It's a totally different challenge as a coach. And I'm glad that I have it because, I've dealt with kids who had to scrap, and now I deal with a lot of kids who have had it from the get-go, So now it's kind of not building the kid. Now it's kind of humbling the kid and then building him up instead of just building the kid up.
Yeah.
So it's been a great challenge, and I love it, man. And I've started to get the best out of these kids. And, the hardest part about being a coach is the kids loving you, because at some point coaching does have to come to an end.
Oh, yeah.
And, whether they leave you or you leave them, my goal is to be a college coach.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the hardest part, is if I do get a job or if I get a head coaching job walking away.
Hey, colleges, okay? Darius Matthews. Colleges, Darius Matthews. If you need a D-line coach. Yeah, you're actually a coordinator right now for Mountain Ridge. That's cool, man.
Yes, sir.
That's cool. So how's that been? I bet that's a challenge within itself.
That is, it takes Mayfu to tell you how about the challenge it's been. But, it's different, man. It's like life, though. You start in one phase and you move to the next. D-line is, I do that with my eyes closed and hands behind my back. That's easy. But I'm still learning that, more with that. But D coordinator, man, learning the back half and why the back half has to go here and making sure that there's not a hole if you decide to blitz. And it's a whole different thing. You know what I mean? So my brain was just, spinning. But thankfully, Mayfu's a good dude. So thankfully he was there to kind of help and mentor me like he has. And it's become a little easier. So
I've learned a lot coaching under Mayfu, and I'm grateful, thankful every time when I go into coaching.
Absolutely.
He's able to show me a few things here and there, and watch some film, and even technique wise. So, the athletes, okay, and let's go into high school athletes. What is it that you see that is different from the high school athletes now versus the high school athletes back then? Because what I see is that the athletes now, the high school athletes, are bigger.
Oh yeah,
they're stronger, and they're faster. There's all these programs that these guys can do. Just switching on YouTube.
Yes.
I've never heard of 7-on-7 until I started coaching. I mean, we had 7-on-7 back then, but that's not what we call it. It's like, the skills is over there.
Nobody cares
the big
about
guys
that.
over there. But there's 7-on-7 tournaments. There's a lot all over the country.
Right.
All over the country. And then there's lineman challenges all over the country. And then just the amount of money that goes into all these athletes. I've met some parents too that's put in thousands of dollars just to have their kids go to these elite camps. And is that really gonna get your kids somewhere? But anyways, I that's a whole different story. But what is for you? What is the difference that you see with the athletes now and the athletes back then?
Well, it's like said.
I guess back then when we were in high school.
Sure. Yeah, well, when we were in high school, it was a much different time, Like you said, I think the biggest thing is the size. These kids are huge. Yeah. I don't know what they're feeding these kids, but they're monstrous. Yeah. They're bigger, they're faster, and, they're strong already. I see freshmen that I coach now benching a plate, 185, 225, and I'm like, when I was in high school, benching the plate was the steeple. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I think the biggest difference is, yes, they're bigger, stronger, faster, but I think the thing that they are lacking that we had in our day is the mind. The mindset back then, it was different because coaches from our era are not the same as they are today. Yeah. And there's times where I've channeled that old, my old high school coach, shout out to Coach Morgan, I've channeled that. But, the coaches back then, man, they were on you. They were down you throw 24/7. It was you do what I ask you to do or you don't play. You know what I mean? And nowadays it's more of a guru approach. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where it's more of a molding, whereas back then it was just kind of breaking the rock. Yeah. Like you're either going to build or you're not. Yeah. And I do think that these skills camps that they have are a lot different because back when we were in high school, you kind of had to just go work on your own. You know, you couldn't really get on Twitter and call up a trainer and be like, hey, I need training. You know, you had that dude who was always walking around like, hey, I train kids. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you barely find that guy, and you don't know if he's good. Nowadays, you can get on social media, and you can look up a D-line page or a linebacker page, and you can see that this dude is legit, and he's training these kids or whatever it may be. So I think the access to social media, I think it puts these athletes in a better position. But I also think it's a downfall because a lot of these kids think that they have to post on social media to be a legit football player, and that it comes from the pictures and wearing the uniform, and that's not what it's about. You know, back then I went out, man, with a jersey, taped my fingers, and I was good to go. Nowadays, you got to wear the sleeves, and you got to take the drip pic, and it's too much for me, man. But, you know, I think there's good and bad. You know, I don't know why these kids are so big. I think it's the GMOs they're putting in food. Because I had a freshman lineman last year. He came in at 6'1", 240, and he was stacked. And I'm like, you're in the 8th grade? Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'm a freshman. I'm like, and then last year he's a sophomore. He's dang near 6'3", 250. So I'm just like, this is crazy. You know, I've never had that at that, you know, our boy who's at Oregon State, he's the only one I've ever seen that's that big. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's crazy that you talk about the social media because I see that the social media has kind of caught the hype of everyone's eye. They say, oh man, this guy's good because you watched that one highlight film. Like, no.
That's one clip, man.
Don't do that. Do not give you know, that satisfaction that he's good. He's good. Those plays that he's making, the tackles, the catches, the throws, or you know, whatever that player is doing. But you know, respect that as like, oh, he can play, but don't say like, oh, he's the best. Top 10. Yeah. You know, top 10 already. It's like, why? Because you saw one highlight film? I mean, let's see how he does as a teammate. Right. Let's see that. Let's see what he does as a coach, or, you know, as a player to coach. How's his relationship there? You know, and so, let's go into, you said you had your podcast. Mm-hmm. You were talking about earlier you had a podcast, which I didn't know.
Yes, sir.
And what's your podcast?
Big on Big Podcast.
Big on Big Podcast. Yes, hey, go and watch that. Big on Big Podcast. And I just saw a little snippet of it, and they basically talk about lineman stuff. If you want to get into that and tell us a little bit more about your podcast and what you do, what you guys talk about.
It's it's a podcast. It's called the Big on Big Podcast. It's, you know, the term big on big means, you know, one-on-one. It's me versus you. So
trenches, man.
Trench play, you know what I mean? And it's the other guy's an offensive lineman. I'm a defensive lineman, and I'm like, yo, we're going one-on-one every show. It's called a Big on Big. Yeah. And that's kind of where the idea came from about 2 months ago. And, you know, we interview local talent. We talk about and critique local talent in the high school level and who's good and who's the guy to watch. We've had the chance to talk to a couple professionals, a couple former college coaches, because NCAA has stipulations. Yeah. We had a couple good interviews lined up, and the NCAA shut us down. So, So we talked to former college coaches, former NFL guys. It's just been great, man. Yeah. It's just fun. Like I said, I'm not looking to get famous for it. I just love talking ball. So that's the biggest thing for me.
That's awesome that you're doing it for that. And just to podcast is the thing to do.
It is.
You know, everyone listens to the podcast now. And so for kids that are learning about, you know, you're trying to perfect your craft in the offensive line or defensive line position, I advise you, you know, to go and watch Big on Big because they get detailed in there. Yeah. Hand placement, feet placement, what you want to do to get your strength up. There's a reason why we bench. It's not to look good. It's to bench your opponent up so you can create separation. Now I'm trying to get into it. I don't want to get into all that, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. So go and tune in on Big podcast, and you have a co-host on there that that's played ball with you, or did he play at Dixie
Braden State? Peterson, yeah, he played at Dixie State with me. He played everywhere on the offensive line, and that's why he's qualified. You know, he was a left tackle, he was a right tackle, he was a left guard, right guard, and center. So he played all across the O-line, and he was a good ball player. You know, he was one of those guys that came in and, you know, you look at him, he's not the most physically imposing guy. Yeah. And then he was a technically sound guy. Did what you asked him to do, and we had many battles. So that's why it was it's great that me and him get to work together. You know, he found us a sports doctor for our show and gave us a great interview. This dude trains NFL linemen, college linemen, high school linemen, and he was just talking about the science of lifting and what lifts work, what lifts don't work, explosiveness versus power. So we've had great guests. It's been awesome. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Going off of that, I know that when we first met, I was like 450, 460, I think I was close to almost 500 pounds, man. The heaviest I weighed was 474.
Yeah.
Lost over 120 pounds.
Yes,
I'm at 350 now, but 350 doing pull-ups, Your dude's doing pull-ups now.
That's a strong dude, you know what I mean?
But, still got a lot of ways to go. I want to lose another 100 more pounds. But tell us, what do you have a routine that you're doing? Because I know you look good yourself. Because I remember I seen you like 5 months ago, before the even season started. You had a little, little gut going on there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, getting a little thicker. But what is it that you do, your routine, or your workouts that you like to get into?
Yeah. So I hit every body part twice a week. So that's what I've been doing for the past, since basically the middle of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I hit chest, whether it be lower chest, upper chest, middle chest, and all of it.
Mm.
I combine it, and I hit it twice a week. I hit legs twice a week, hams, glutes, everything, calves. And then I split it up and do cardio on upper body day, cardio upper body day, abs on leg day.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to split it up that way. And I still do a lot of the stuff I did in college, a lot of explosive, box jumps, lateral movements, things that keep me explosive and keep me feeling young. You know what I mean? While I'm young, I'm like, I might as well continue to try.
Yeah.
Especially because my motivation is I'm trying to cross something off my bucket list. I'm trying to do a show.
Yeah.
Probably this winter. I want to do a physique show. I'm trying to cut like 30 more pounds.
Yeah.
Just to say I did it.
You probably just like me. So you're going to cut. So I want to cut too. Like I said earlier, 120 pounds I have lost, over 120 pounds. My thing is I can't stop eating.
You and me both.
I got I was doing the ketogenic diet. Yeah. And I did very well, and it helped me lose, I think on the ketogenic I lost 80 pounds.
Wow.
Then after that, my mindset, I was used to going to the gym every day. I started the cardio and started to find new things. So I didn't have to really do keto so much, and and just watch what I eat. A lot of the sugary stuff I keep away. But is there a type of workout? What workouts should on a high school level, what type of workouts do you think? I'm talking about the weight room.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about just the weight room in general. What are the kind of lifts that you want your high school students or high school athletes to do? That's because you coach track as well, so they're different lifts.
Yeah, for sure.
But what lifts do you think that high school kids should be doing in the weight room?
Anything that creates explosiveness and flexibility. So anything that requires your body to move right to left, forward and out, up and then back down. So one thing that I love, especially during track season, is I do a lot of snatches, a lot of power cleans, a lot of push press, and a lot of, agility / box jumps. So jumping over a hurdle to the right, jumping forward over a hurdle, and then high jumping onto a box. So, different athletic movements to get you moving.
You had me at hurdle.
Hey, I try to do it, but I'm like, man, this stuff is rough.
Yeah.
But, in anything explosive, and I think squats are, especially any athlete, squats are something that you need to do. Do it with the right technique and be explosive in doing it. So I'm not necessarily a fan of the basic squat. One thing, whenever I'm over the weight room, I do an eccentric squat, because an eccentric squat is creating tension under pressure, and you're also getting a good stretch while you're doing it. So you're going down, for a 3 count, real slow, pausing the hold, explode up.
Okay.
So you're causing your muscles, to slow down and stretch, stop, and then explode.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Shorten back up. So I personally love anything with that.
I love rest squats with the bars, resting the bar on the 2 bars on the rack.
Oh yeah,
and then you explode
and then
back
stand
up.
straight up. Yeah,
I love doing those, and I just started doing those. But go ahead.
No, that's one of my favorites. I used to watch Steven Jackson do that when he played for the Rams, and I started doing it in high school too. It's a great lift. You'd be surprised how sore you get after doing it, because it's like, well, you're not going down that deep. But
Steven Jackson was a beast, man. He had hips and legs, and that's why he was able to just run just people over without even putting the shoulder down, because his hips and his legs were just so strong.
It was Derrick Henry before Derrick Henry.
Oh man, it's so awesome.
I think my second go-to is probably rack cleans.
Yeah.
So instead of starting above the knee, you start from a rack position, and you don't get a chance to bend over and explode. You just got to explode from the rack.
Right.
So I like anything that generates force from the ground up through your body.
Yeah.
Because I coach discus and shot put. Everything is literally from the ground, and you're creating force to go through the ring. Playing D-line, everything is from the ground through another man. Yeah. So everything I try to simulate some sort of movement, that we're going to see.
Yeah.
That's what I think. High school kids should lift, I guess in simple terms, they should lift in a way that's going to mimic their athletic event.
Okay.
That's how it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So I just barely started going back to the gym on Monday.
Yeah.
And it's Sunday. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay.
So I'm trying to do like 3 times a week, but the lifts that I do are the moves that I do at work.
Gotcha.
So I'm doing like kettlebell swings, kind of just,
Right.
And leg press.
He moves pianos for a living.
That's what he told me. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's something, man.
Yeah.
I just don't give a shit about me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I go to work and I'll probably have like a bad day or good day.
Yeah.
And pianos don't care. They just show up.
What is the biggest piano you guys move?
There's a 10'2" Fazioli Italian piano that I think is 1,200 pounds or something like that.
How many men?
It's usually a 2-man process.
I worked there for 3 months just because I needed something to do before I was trying to get on another job. And I was just surprised by how many pianos they move a day, and it's just 2 people.
That's crazy.
Moving this stuff. I've been to houses where, you guys need help? You guys need help? You sure you don't need any help? Because this is an expensive piano. I mean, I just don't want it. And you got us over there. Like, don't worry, we're okay. We'll take care of you.
We got you.
That's good. You're in the gym again.
Just barely, man.
Yeah.
Just barely getting back to it for too long.
You dieting?
That's where I'm struggling. So I'm not really like eating correctly. But it's so I'll do work. At work, it's kind of like a workout. So do all the movements and stuff. Right. Then I try to go to the gym, but the food after is like, okay, I just eat all the garbage because I'm fat, and I also weigh 350, but we're different because I'm like just like a fat slobby 350, and you look good. Yeah. So it's like,
but you can
get back to.
You can get there. I got there, and I just tell everybody, just get the get that compound effect, man. The consistency, and you gotta be disciplined and do it every day. And so, what's funny about going to the gym? I do that every day. I go to the gym. Now I'm starting to look at other things that I need to start doing every day, which is I have problems saying my prayers. Sometimes I go throughout the day without saying my prayers, I want to start doing affirmations. I want to tell God that I love him very much, and that I appreciate everything that he has blessed me with.
God tell you to say that to me, bro? Because that's where I've been. I've been slacking in that category.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah. But that's what I said. It's just not me. Now now I know someone else, but then some. It's a lot of people. You know.
Do you listen to reggae music? So there's a lot of reggae music that's almost like songs of prayer and gratitude. And I don't know, it's for me, I listen to these songs and it's almost like a daily prayer or, something to center in on and focus of like where I am as a human being or, like where I am as a family person. Or,
yes, sir.
Yeah. So I say my prayers, right? But it's like... it's to make myself feel better than myself. It's like, I said it.
I said it.
And it's right before the doc, but I say it just because for my kids and just for my health as whatnot. Just to, talk to God and protect me as I go in there and work and make sure that, I'm okay, nothing happens to me. Bless, take care of my family while they're at home, while I'm at work. It's just like that. But I'm talking about a conversation with our Heavenly Father.
Oh, yeah.
We're just sitting there and just meditating and just letting loose or letting everything else on, just taking everything away and just you and God.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like you. I believe in God, and I wouldn't have any of this stuff. We wouldn't be on this podcast if it wasn't for Him. Yeah. And I just need to start conversating with Him more. But that's, like I said, I got to be consistent with that. And that's, we are programmed to do that. Yeah. We just need to plug it into the program and start,
turn it on.
Yeah. And turn it on every day.
Every day.
Every day. I guess let's just go into that. What has God blessed you with from when you were young to right now where we're sitting? Man, what's He done for you? And you don't have to go through everything, but just something that just pops in your head that you're grateful for, that you wouldn't be here because of Him.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot.
Yeah.
God, plain and simple, God just been good to me, man, from the get-go, I think the thing that stands out to me when I look over my life that God has blessed me with the most is resilience, because I've dealt with some stuff, and I'm not acting like I've gone through more than anybody, but, I grew up and living in Utah. I dealt with racism for a long time. From the school system, any of that, things not necessarily going my way as far as dealing with people when I got to college and high school and on my job, different things. And I just look and I'm like, if I didn't have God, I'd be unemployed. I'd be labeled as as an uncoachable person because I've been to cuss all these people out, and I'm just like, Lord, I thank you for giving me patience and resilience because, had it not been for that, I'd probably be out of opportunities. You know what I mean? But He continues to show me, just shut your mouth and let me work. You know what I mean? Let me work. If you keep your mouth closed, I can work for you. But if you got something to say, I'll let you fall on your face. So that's been the biggest thing that I feel like God's blessed me with, man. And the little things that I think we take for granted every day. One thing I'm very thankful for is vision. Being able to see, being able to speak, being able to talk, and being able to walk.
All the little things.
It's just it's things we take for granted because I see people every day that don't have those things, and I'm like, Lord, I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have it. I'm very grateful. So, and I'm like you. I struggle. I don't pray as much as I used to. I don't pray as much as I should. And I think a lot of that is knowing what God has done for me and how much God has cared for me, and me kind of having that shame, when I mess up or I've made mistakes, or I've willfully done things, and I'm just like, He don't want to talk to me, you know what I mean? He ain't trying to hear me, you know what I'm saying? And I get in that mode, and I won't talk to Him because I'm like, He don't want to hear from me.
Is it like a feeling of undeserving?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And, and I understand that I shouldn't feel that way because He told us, we come to Him anytime, no matter how you are, you come and you what did He say? My yoke is light and my burden is easy. You know what I mean? He'll take it, but I have a hard time facing Him because I know that I can talk to God and I know that I can connect with Him, but I also know that I have to look at myself in the mirror and I'm ashamed of it, but I know that it's like, dude, I knew you were going to do this. Yeah. Just let's clean it up. Yeah. But I can't till you come to me. So that's, Anyway, I went on a tangent. But
it's all good. The person that you have to deal with is the one in the mirror. Mm-hmm. And so once you get that situated in order,
absolutely,
and then you go to the next, or, as long as you have the help from the higher being, or higher God, or,
whoever that may be.
The highest heights.
Yeah. No, and we're just trying to be a better version of ourselves.
Absolutely.
We're just trying to we're just trying to, be better than yesterday. Yeah. And tell my kids all the time is it's not about being better than your mom and dad. It's not being better about your kids. I believe it's being better than what you were doing yesterday. What you do yesterday, what are you doing today that's better than what you were doing yesterday?
You guys watch those nature shows where the guy with the English accent is day by day, day by day.
Hello, this is David. I'm Sarah.
Day by day, the animal.
I love those shows,
dude. I'll sometimes just sit back and watch those for hours at a time, and pull up my 7-year-old. I hate when you watch this, man. It's so boring. Yeah, it's like, all right, one day maybe you'll start to enjoy these things like I do.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I think the reason why we're into that stuff because we had the TV with the knob. Back in the day, you know what I mean? And then they came out with the buttons. It wasn't allowed. They turned into the buttons, but still, you had to go up to the TV and
still push it.
And you still had to find, grab the wire hanger to build the antenna so that you could get some of the channels. Well, the only channels that worked was Channel 2, Channel 13, the KBYU channel. Yeah. And the KBYU channel, when they had nothing to show, they would show the nature shows. Right. And so we would sit there and watch about the animals because there wasn't going to be any time soon. We were all going to go see animals, so we were just going to learn about them. So even to this day, I'm just like him. I sit there and I can watch animals. I can watch nature. I love the ocean. Learning about the blue ocean because it's so big out there, and it's so we've only covered a certain amount.
We haven't even touched 70% of it.
Yeah. We know more about space than we do about the ocean. Yeah, which is kind of true.
Yeah. So no, for me, just growing up like that, I found interest in it quick. And when I watch a nature show, I'm real attentive to it. I'm like, oh, this is cool.
It's dope. Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, it's just. Man, everything's got to do with God.
Everything.
Yeah, everything's got to do with God. Everything. And whatever it is, higher being, whoever you guys praise to, even atheists, whatever you guys do, be thankful, be grateful, and praise each other. Because I love to glorify in someone else's glory. I love someone else's come of light.
Yeah. Right.
We shouldn't be pulling each other down or hanging on someone that's coming up like, dang, you don't deserve that. You know what I mean?
That's not progressive.
What the heck, not dude? You should, applaud that, and use that as a motivation for you to go up, right. And so, it's other things that's going on in your life. What are you doing now, relationship-wise?
Happy Valentine's.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's to myself. I love myself.
Amen.
Yeah, man. I told you earlier, I'm single. Had a serious girlfriend for a while. Just didn't work out, but hope she's doing well. She's a good girl. Outside of that, I'm working. Like you said, trying to be better every day. Trying to accomplish these goals I have, man, of, getting into fitness, not necessarily getting to the fitness industry, but, I reached my peak as a football player. You know what I mean? And I was good.
And that's hard to do. There's a lot of guys that even the pros come out of the NFL and they're still
itching.
Oh man, I might get a call. So they're doing these workouts and I'm like, dang, man.
That's a wrap. You 38 years old,
yeah,
bro.
Exactly.
I mean, I know for sure. I'm only 26. I know I still got juice in the tank. I know if I truly wanted to go play, I think I could for a couple more years. But I'm at that point where I'm like, my body is saying, just sit down.
Yeah.
But I'm doing that, and I'm trying to, like I said, trying to become a bodybuilder at some point. That's the goal.
Do you have a first date set up for a show that you're trying to?
I want to do one in November, so that's why I'm trying to cut 30 pounds and slim up a little bit. Get down to 250 and just be rock solid. But
let us know, man.
I got to cut carbs out,
dude.
Absolutely.
The brand new podcast will get you there or support you, man.
Absolutely. But that, and then on the side, I train kids. Me and my buddy Benson, we started a business. We talked about it in college while we were playing together. man, we kind of spoke our own destiny into existence. We were like, man, when we coach, we're going to do it this way. You know what I mean? And I never took it serious like I was going to coach, but I was like, yeah, one day I'm going to teach D linemen to do this, that, and the other. Never realizing that it would turn into me a bench and starting a business. Yeah. And that's boss skills. And that's
boss skills, right? Yeah, boss skills. And I've seen that a few times on social media. And you guys, it's kind of just like your podcast, but instead of you guys are doing actions, you guys are moving. Yep. And that's that's awesome. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So it's just a skills training company. Most businesses that do that, they're charging $50 an hour, $100 an hour, $200 a session.
Like I said, it gets expensive, thousands of dollars if these parents are putting through their kids, and then all of a sudden they only going to a D3. Like,
right. What happened?
I'm sorry.
And that's where I believe, to me, the way I look at our business, kind of like the hole in the wall restaurants, right? Yeah. Like you go down south, wherever it is. That hole-in-the-wall chicken shack is better than the big restaurant that's down the street. Yeah. It's always better. Oh, yeah. So for me, I look at these other businesses, I'm not saying that they're not good, but you're paying thousands of dollars to learn, good technique, I guess, but I'm teaching you the same thing. I'm teaching you $500 worth of technique for $20, and I don't charge by the hour. I charge $20 a session. So for me, again, for us, it was never to get rich. It was always just to create great linemen, and we also mentored through this program,
Oh, nice.
You'd be surprised how many kids show up and you start training them in a conversation about their day or a conversation about things they've been going throughout the week. Whatever it is pops up because it's therapeutic for them. And that was always my goal.
Man, it is therapeutic to talk to these teenagers because they hide everything on their phones.
And they don't talk to their parents.
Yeah, they don't talk to their parents. And like, you need to let these things out. Like, this is what I don't... I like social media, and if anyone has social media, that's fine. Right. That's awesome. But don't go behind social media and hide your true feelings. Right. And all of a sudden you're posting, yes. And then someone goes on there, I didn't know that that's how you felt. Right. It's like, why didn't you just come up and talk to me?
Should have told me.
And it could be your closest friend, your closest relative.
I'm okay.
Awesome. Sorry, we got service on our podcast, so
No, it is.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Go.
Let me get to it. But yeah, I'm not knocking anyone that has social media. I have a messenger. That's all I have. Yeah. But with the podcast, we're gonna have to come out with the social so that we get people to view our stuff.
To view it.
But yeah, man, it is therapeutic to talk to these kids, and it's amazing how these kids, they're wide open to whatever they have, that's building inside, and they're hiding it just boom inside. They're like, dang, I didn't know all that. I just asked you one question, but that's awesome that they look at you as a person that they can just open up to and just have a conversation.
Absolutely.
Just have a conversation, man. That's and I'm pretty sure you have. It's just a lot of kids. I wish I could tell your parents about this. I'm pretty sure that you ran into kids like that.
I've ran into parents who've reached out because they didn't know how to get to their kid, and they're like, "Oh wow, he respects you and he listens to you. Can you talk to him?" Yeah. And for me, that's what I mean by thanking God, bro, because I'm put in a position, and I've always wanted to be. I love Eric Thomas. He's my favorite. I think. I want to be. Yeah. I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to have that impact, but I had to realize, you don't need to be over thousands to make an impact. If it's over just one person, you know what I mean. And that's what I started to see is, God was showing me, hey man, do you see this? Okay, this is greater than any amount of gold you could ever have. You know what I mean? And I started to realize that, man, helping these kids and, the fact that a parent respects me enough to want to reach out to me to help their child, that speaks volumes, and it just, it makes me feel like I'm doing what God wants me to do. Yeah. So I love it, man. It's crazy that kids won't talk to their parents, but they'll talk to another adult. You know what I mean?
What makes them respond to you like that? Why is it that they're so it seems like you have this thing of trust where they have for you.
I really don't know. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's because I think I come, because parents when they're kids, do things they don't understand. You know how parents can be. Parents don't really understand. That's why Will Smith came out with that song, right? I just feel like parents have this standard for their kids, which they should, but the kid doesn't understand it.
I think it's just you a real ass dude.
Yeah, that could be
real. And I've come across coaches like that's not you. You've never been like that. What the hell is you talking about? Mm-hmm. Just be you. So that's how I come out and tell these guys, and I make fun of myself. If you can't make fun of yourself, then you shouldn't be talking to kids. You know what I mean? Because that just means you're just gonna take everything personal. Kids. I use when I tell these kids to get in their stance. Oh, are you gonna get this type of stance? Sorry, coach can't get all the way down because his belly's in the way. But I just be real with these kids. Anything that I coach or say, I'm a leader in the in our church. In the youth. I'm in the youth in our church, and I tell these kids all the time how real I am. Mm-hmm. And I tell these kids, hey, I still make mistakes. Mm-hmm. I still make mistakes, guys. And then I'll tell them I'm currently working on, things that I'm not keeping the commandments that I'm doing that I should be doing. But I'm not perfect, guys. Right. I'm not perfect. So, but you tell them these things, and they kind of look. It's just like, they start to relax. Like, he's a leader, but he still makes mistakes. Right. He's an adult, but he still makes mistakes. Oh, my mom and dad makes mistakes. Mm-hmm. And if the mom and dad could be real to their kids, I think their kids would be fine.
And it's hard for parents to do that. Because my dad, let him tell it when I was growing up. He didn't make mistakes. You know what I mean? He was the gold standard, But
they say he still doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, he still think he don't make mistakes.
But we ain't never gonna tell our man.
It's crazy though. You talk about real. I actually had to have that conversation with my father. Because there are things you go through as a kid that if you don't address, they'll impact you into adulthood. Mm-hmm. And me being able to be a man and being able to sit him down and say, "No, Dad, this is not right." Mm-hmm. That went a long way with our relationship because he was able to step back and be like, he wouldn't admit that he was wrong, but he had to be like, man, my son really feels this way. You know what I mean? So, and I think these kids, their parents put on this image of no mistakes made. Mm. And I think when they see me, I'm vulnerable with these kids. I tell them all the time, I'm not perfect, guys. I make mistakes. I struggled. When you don't do a technique right, just know your coach went through that for several years. Right. Just know when I got to college, I didn't go to college and I was the guy. I went to college and had to go from being a dominant high school player to a guy who had to learn to be dominant all over again. So I try to tell them all those different things, and they see that, and I let them into my life a little bit. And some of them I allow to follow me on social media. I don't post anything inappropriate, but they're able to see, oh, shoot, Coach is a comic book nerd. Oh, shoot, Coach is hyped for Godzilla vs. King Kong coming out. You know what I mean? He's hyped for all this nerdy stuff, and he also has this past of imperfectness. Yeah. So I see my coach doing that, and he tells me one thing, I can believe him because Coach walked in my shoes at some point. Yeah. So I think that's why they respect it a little more because I'm able to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Whereas a lot of coaches and a lot of adults are guarded about any and everything, oh, no, you can't do that. Yeah. Well, why? Have you gone through it? Can you tell me why? Yeah. If I can give you life experience on the good and the bad of a situation, it means more to you. But if I just sit there and tell you, it's kind of like I tell people, I don't want to hear from the perfect Christian. I want to hear from the Christian that has fallen, that has made mistakes, that has messed up, and now he's where the perfect Christian is because he went through something.
That 1%.
That 1%. That guy who hasn't gone through anything, what can you teach me? But perfection, but you have no example of how you got to perfection. Right. This guy that had to work and go through it and be obedient, that's the difference. Right. So I think that's why they respond to me a little bit.
I like that. And I'm reading this book. I forget who it's from, but it's called 13 Things That Successful People Don't Do. Mm. And he's had this quote in there, and I can't quote it word for word, but it just says without life experiences, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to have life experiences to get somewhere, whether they fail or whether they're good. And that to have life experiences is basically that's how you're going to tell your life story. You know, it's like, oh, I failed this. Oh, I achieved this and did this and did that, and it was able to make me go this. Oh, I failed at this, but I kept on moving my feet. I got back up and I did this and failed again, but then I was able to do this and I made profit off of this business and whatnot. And it just, just a chain reaction.
Right.
But we gotta, the life experience, we gotta be able to share that with amongst each other, because your experience is different from mine. But then the next guy besides you is the same. They had the same experience as I did. Right. We can relate to each other. But I think any experience we can all relate to. Yeah. Because we all have a backstory to just life in general, and that's cool. That's just awesome that I see you be real with these kids, and be real with them, to everyone. Be, with everybody out there. Just be real.
Be real.
With that being said, man, I'm gonna ask you this question. What is, with coaching, all the coaching that you have done, what is it about coaching that you hate? Because we love to talk about what we love about coaching and helping kids, but what is it about coaching that you hate?
You probably know, because you probably see me get on it. Uncoachable kids.
Yeah.
That's the thing that gets on my nerves. The kids that come to practice and they already know everything, or dad has told them everything, so they don't need coaching, So I hate, not the kid, but I hate the personality of uncoachable kids. I hate helicopter parents who know more than the coach. And, I think selfishly, the thing I hate the most is not having enough individual time in practice.
Yeah.
Because all that goes to the offense. They get all the time. As a D-line coach, Indy is so short, and it just it makes my skin boil.
Yeah.
But the top of that list is uncoachable kids. And we've had some in West Jordan, and I've had some in Mountain Ridge. The kids who just won't learn, and when they leave, it's all your fault. You did everything wrong, and you didn't help them. So those are I cannot stand that. Son, I'm giving you instruction. I'm trying to help you. I've told you this 10 times, and you still not getting it.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And those are the kids I'll just kind of throw to the assistant coach. Like, you go help that kid. I'm done, man. I'm tapped out. So, I would say those are the top 3 things I hate the most about coaching.
Oh, man. With me, and I'll answer that question myself as well. With me is time.
Time, yeah.
With me is time. A full-time job.
Yeah.
No excuse. I got kids, no excuse.
Right.
Nah, and I say no excuse because that's what that's what I lived through when I played football. Was no excuses. Yeah. You didn't do that last sprint. You didn't give it all your last sprint. No excuses. Go do more. You missed a practice. No excuses. Make up for it. Go inside the weight room. Make up for it. Anything with no excuses. But and right now with coaching, it's a lot of time that you got to put into it. And with me having a full-time job with kids, and then you're doing you not only your family, but you're doing stuff other than just your full-time job and your family. You got to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm doing this podcasting. My mind is just always trying to look at something to just keep me busy.
Keep me busy.
Yep. Because I feel that I have failed in a day because I just sat and watched Netflix.
Yep.
Or I just sat there, it was on the computer. Or I know guys that just lay there, just in bed, just not even on their phones, just chilling, just chilling, just daydreaming. Like, you got to do something.
Yep.
But yeah, time.
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 I agree.
It's just time. Dang, dude, coaching's a whole new animal. When I got into it, it's just because you got to know everything.
Yeah, you gotta have an answer for every question.
Yeah, and I don't know how it is on the next level, but with high school, the parents have more leeway to come and talk to the coaches. Whether I have no clue how it is in the next level.
College ain't putting
but I don't think that they deal with that. Like, your kid's an adult. I'll address your kid. I don't need to address you. Your kid's an adult.
Yep.
But with high school, you have to address the adult because they're the parents, and
the coach is more accessible.
Yes.
Because you're just there.
Yeah. And so you got to deal with all that as well. And then I don't know how Mayfu or Pierce or anybody that is a head coach, I don't know how they can deal with faculty. They have to deal with the AD.
Everything.
They have to deal with the parents. Yeah. They deal with the players. They have to deal with the staff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that the head coach has to do. I mean, one of them was music.
Yes. Oh my
Remember your playlist? I don't think we ever got, for the 2 seasons we coached together, I don't think all our home games, he had the music. For some reason, there was always something going on where his music would be playing, we'll be jamming out, doing our drills, up on the field, getting hyped. And all of a sudden, it's just like,
they just stop it.
It's either stopped or something else is playing.
Yes.
Your music sucked that bad, huh?
Yeah, I guess. It was terrible.
But we would go to our opponent's home field.
Yeah.
We would all be on the road, away teams. And they be jamming the same stuff that he would have in his playlist. Okay. Like, I don't get it how these kids or this team is allowed to play this in the stadium, but we can't play that song at our stadium.
Well, explain to me how West Jordan, we're a diverse school.
Yeah.
We can't play hip hop, but we go to Riverton.
Yeah.
And Riverton's playing gangster rap. And I'm like, but y'all are not supportive of what this is what the kids want to hear. The kids want to get hyped to this. Let the kids have their music. It's not me. It's what the kids want.
Yeah.
It's tough.
We could go.
That sounds like micromanagement.
Yeah.
And that's kind of overreach, maybe.
We've been there.
Yes.
And it sounds more. It's
I've
more
never
than
dealt with coaching.
It's more than micromanagement, but we ain't gonna go there. But we'll just we'll just move on with that.
Yeah.
Hey, man, it's one thing to already have to deal with X's and O's.
Yeah.
And they're constantly moving pieces. And then having to deal with all the
and that's part of the piece. It's music.
Yeah, that is motivating. That kind of gets your blood
that little
going,
hype music before the game. You know what I mean? It's getting all your emotions going.
Yeah.
And, it's getting me hyped up. I'm about to go and just blast this fool off of the line. You know what I mean? That's the mentality these kids are getting when they're listening to the music before the game.
Yeah.
But then to stop it, and it's just like, even the opponent side is like, why they stopped the music? I was just getting hyped.
I was getting hyped.
Yeah.
See, I have no experience with that because when we was at Skyline playing football, there's no music.
Yeah.
You sat there and you meditated in your silence and you concentrated and you thought about your vision of what it is you're going to see in the game. That was kind of what was preached, or that's kind of
it was always silent. It was always silent.
And the guy, I mean, even I think it comes from the top down. I mean, the coach was, he was a prominent member of his faith. He held like a leadership position.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's one time, for example, somebody's like, oh my God, or whatever. And the head coach turns around. He goes, it's not God's fault that they missed that play. It wasn't really like a rah-rah guy. He was more like just do your thing, and then we run. Everyone runs. You run. Because the thing was speed.
Yeah, we were a running team. We never passed the ball. We were a running team.
Running downhill.
But I remember that. Yeah, and I can live.
I mean, he was winning champions like 5 in a row.
Oh yeah.
With his thing that he did.
Yeah. And that was just that tradition just carried on. Yeah. It was always quiet. and no one had earbuds. No one had headphones on, or, back then we didn't have Bluetooth or anything, so this is the old headphones.
The Walkman.
Yeah, the Walkman. CD players, But no one had that on,
I mean, other teams, they would do that. They'd be blasting the music or whatever.
Yeah, but we didn't. But, when I went to college, I got used to just listening to music. And, I could do music or no music, to get me hyped up. But for the kids now, that's the thing. Everyone has earbuds on, or they're blasting the music, and they don't even care what they're saying in there.
No, they don't.
But like, you may act like you don't say that.
Hey, that thing's the same. That's like one of the things.
You saying those words,
The beat is usually what it's the same thing that we used to say as kids. Is like, I don't listen to the lyrics. I'm listening to the beat.
Yeah.
See, I was always oppositional of that. I was always a lyrical guy. Man, always lyrical content.
Yeah. See, I'm a beat guy, so I listen, the instruments or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Shoot. I didn't want to get too much into it, but I just want to hear your thoughts, your feelings about what's going on now in our society. Being black and everything, what's going on, George Floyd and stuff like that, the BLM movement. And then of course we just had an election. Trump's out of office. Biden now is our president. And it is what it is. But with everything, all the protesting going on, and I know Black Lives Matter is not just the only movement for blacks here in America. There's all kinds of different movements and whatnot. But what's your taste on that? I mean, what do you think about what's going on, and how can we? I don't know. What do you think that we can do to make to love each other? To help uplift each other. Edify each other, and just let other people know that, hey, I'm here to give you a hand. I want to help you. I'm not your enemy.
Right. Well, I think the biggest problem, and what I'm seeing nowadays, is you're just seeing the results of an issue that's never been resolved or addressed. Racism in America, you can put it in the history book, but you've never addressed racism in America. As a country, we've never addressed it. We've never formally apologized, as a nation of what we did to Black Americans, and I don't know why I'm saying we, because, but as a country, you can stand up there and say, we're sorry. But how are you showing us that you're sorry? Because they've said sorry, but we've seen the same thing continue to happen through the line of history. We forget integration was only 68 years ago, almost 70 years ago.
Yeah,
that's not that long ago.
Not too long.
Martin Luther King was shot around the same time. Yeah. So, and they act like that's so separate. And I'm like, no, this is fairly new.
Yeah.
I think we got to stop allowing police to, train on targets in training who look like me.
Yeah.
I listened to a black cop speak the other day, and he said that while he was in training, he said they used to take him to training grounds. And when they went to training grounds, it was in inner city communities that were heavily Black and Hispanic dominant. And they would only see Black men and Hispanic men dealing drugs, committing murders, committing robberies. So in their mind, in your subconscious, when you're thinking of a crime or somebody suspicious, you're going to imagine a Black man or Hispanic man.
Oh, you're trained for.
Yeah, you're trained to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And I just think that until we address racism, until the country realizes that they have done African Americans wrong, the people who built this country for free, and all you can tell us is go back to Africa and be okay with us being a little bit better, that's not good enough for me. You whipped my grandfather. You stole my grandfather's language. You stole my grandfather's religion. You stole his name. And you brought him here and forced him to conform to your ways. And then when you got what you could get out of him, and he was a free man, get out of my country.
Yeah.
So that, to me, I don't think we've ever addressed that side of it. And I think that it's been handed down from generation to generation, because there's still so many people who believe that white is better than Black. You have Black people who don't believe that being Black is good, that hate their own skin. And, which is unfortunate. Yeah. And I hate that that's even a thing because I love who I am. And the thing about me is I'll pick up a book and I'll read about ancient African history, the stuff that they don't teach, the Mansa Musas, the empires of Kush and Timbuktu, how Africans were actually a rich royal people who embraced Europeans, but were invaded by Europeans. That's the stuff you don't learn in school.
Yeah.
And
you know what? You said that during practice. Someone said something about they knew their history, their Black history.
Yeah.
And you told them straight off the bat, it's like, no, you don't. They don't teach enough of my people in school. And I've never heard that from somebody. You know, I've never heard that from somebody. And just hearing it coming from a Black guy, I kind of took upon myself, and there's just thinking, damn, yeah, he's right. We actually just learned about how the slaves were free. Or the slaves came from Africa, and they came over here for how many years? They were slaves and they were free. But everything that I have been taught in high school. I wasn't a reader, so I never went outside of high school to read or anything. I just had to read just so I can get a good grade. Whatever they needed us to read. But when I was thinking about it, I was like, we've heard about all these Black slaves and these Black names that how they were able to read, find a way to read. They had to go hide and read. They hide their education. How they freed this, Harriet Tubman, of course, the Underground Railroad, how they got all these Blacks to, escape slavery and things like that. But we never learned about, like, hey, there's a Black guy that's, inventing this. There's an African woman that's, doing this with math or whatnot. There was so many other things that these Blacks were, that Black people have had an impact on our nation, but yet in school we're still learning about how the Blacks came from Africa and were just slaves, and they just still stuck to that. Like,
well, and now have you think?
Yeah, you just got me to think wide openly. Like, damn, I never thought about that. Whoa.
Well, and they'll have you think that Africans have been slaves from the get-go, and it's like, no, African people were people who were taken and became slaves. They were not slaves to begin with. And, you hear about the big three every year in high school. You hear about Martin Luther King. You hear about Harriet Tubman. You hear about Frederick Douglass. Okay, great. Good. Okay, but what you're not talking about is the revolutionary quotes Martin Luther King had all throughout his career. You're only talking about the cushy ones that make white people feel comfortable. You're not talking about Nat Turner, how he revolted against slave owners. You're not talking about Marcus Garvey. You're not talking about Medgar Evers. You're not talking about the radical side of Malcolm X. You're not talking about the Madam C.J. Walkers. It's why is that not being taught? And then, you hear in Utah that they're giving kids the option to opt out of learning Black history. Why would, if I have to sit back and learn about George Washington because it's a part of the arithmetic, why does a child get to choose whether he gets to learn about Booker T. Washington? That's what I want to know, because isn't that American history? Yeah. And the fact that Black history is now becoming optional and parents don't want their kids to learn about American history is what I'll call it. That's a problem for me, because that's a part of American history. And that, in my opinion, and that leads me to my final point, that's why there is so much hatred and racism in America, because there's no understanding of Black people in America. There's no understanding of Asian people. There's no understanding of Hispanic people, because people are so comfortable being in their bubble. They don't want to go to the extreme degree to understand a person's culture. Well, why do you guys rap? Well, rap is so vulgar and violent. That's not all rap. That's a small portion. Why is rap the way it is? Why did Black people start hip hop? What was it? Well, if you read, it was poetry. It was freeing. It was a way for us to be revolutionary and get our voice out without getting arrested and speak our truth. Where did poetry come from? You would know that it came from Black people. All these different things. If you understood our culture and got a chance to understand us and learned of us the way that we were force-fed white America, there would be, I don't think there'd be as much hatred, because you'd be like, oh, shoot, these are some smart, talented people. They're not just basketball, football players. No, these are doctors. These are philosophers. These are nurses. These are engineers. heck, black people built cars, and the idea was stolen from a black man who built the car. And people don't talk about that.
Yeah.
We don't talk about Ford stealing the idea and the blueprint from a black man, but people don't want to talk about that. We don't talk about the cotton gin being stolen from Eli Whitney. We don't talk about the cell phone being invented by a black man. The stoplight. We don't talk about any of this. But we talk about all the great white engineers like Elon Musk. I don't care about him. I want to know about a man who looks like me.
Yeah.
And I think if we took the time, because I feel like I understand white people, and that's why I have no problem being friends with white people.
Well, I think we understand white people because they're mostly pushed out.
Right.
You know, just like you said,
that's what's broadcast.
Man.
And, well, and it's Polynesian culture, and it's one thing that I've learned to love. I love Polynesian culture because when I look at it, it reminds me a lot of the black culture I grew up in. The family first,
especially the barbecues.
Oh man, you eat as much as you want. You know what I mean? Welcoming everybody, like the discipline, all that stuff. And I've learned to somewhat understand my Samoan friends. You know what I mean? Because they welcome me into their culture, and I'm like, oh, it's like mine. Yeah. My Asian friends, my Hispanic friends, I feel like I have an understanding of you guys. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of my friends don't have an understanding of me. Yeah. And it's always whenever I speak out against racism, like the George Floyd situation, whatever it may be, all of a sudden they're all surprised. And I'm like, well, that's because you've never taken the time to understand me. Yeah. You would know that I'm very pro-black. And that does not mean I'm anti-white, but it means that I'm for my people. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
the moniker is Black Panther. So, I mean, it kind of puts it all in perspective together. It does. Yeah. Polynesian culture is almost, it's set up like a hierarchy. So there's the person at the top is the leader, and then it comes down, looks like a triangle. Yep. Right? But the person at the top that's the leader, when it was set up, not like how it is now, you can buy your way into leadership, so to say. Right. That's what we do now. Right. But back in the day, it was a social structure where the leader is chosen by the people. And so that's the person that leads the family. Whether it's going to be a man or a woman, it didn't matter. It wasn't like a thing of gender or sex. It was just who's the leader, who's good. So it could be a matriarchy or patriarchy. There was no difference. Right. And I believe that's how a lot of countries or Asian countries kind of do the same with like the hierarchy of how the people work and grow together or whatever. But Polynesian culture, it's almost like I wouldn't say it's still like people together, but for the most part, the person who gets the say is the one who's voted in as the leader. And the leaders usually, and this is where it's kind of weird, the leader is actually the servant. So the person who can serve the most gets chosen in to be the leader. The leader. Yeah. So that's kind of like the dude who worked the hardest or the person who provided the most for the village, the community. They get chosen in as the family to be the leader of the people. Yeah. So it's not like how we do it here. Well, I mean, we do have the democracy that tells us, hey, we can vote our leaders in. So it does mirror that a little bit, but for back in the island, it's more communal, tribunal kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, that's how my immediate family is. My grandmother, she was the matriarch because she was the servant. My grandma served any and everybody, but she was the leader. And then there was the trickle down effect of who's next in line. And underneath them we have, and that's why I'm like it's very similar. You know what I mean? Whether we didn't really elect her to do that, but that's what she was. She stepped into that role. So it comes down to a mutual understanding. What do you understand about the person you hang out with? Yeah. And if you don't understand that I love my people and you have a problem that I love my people, then there's your problem.
That's awesome. So learning has a lot to do with, like you said earlier, vulnerability. Where you can put yourself in a space to have a learning capability or whatever. Right. A lot of people don't want to do that because one, it's easier to just be lazy.
It is.
And just not have to learn shit about anybody. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for the most part, if you do put yourself into a place where you train yourself to become a critical thinker or at least work at that or try to be, just absorbing of information and knowledge and knowing how to process it and use it. A lot of people don't want to do that. Yeah. Once again, because it's easier to just be fed information to you instead of going and looking for stuff that are your interests, things that you like. Yeah. So I don't know, just the whole climate that we have now with like the social unrest or people who I don't know, they just want love.
Yeah.
Like that's what it kind of boils down to. That is like, where can you take the moments out of your day, the small simple things of showing love to somebody, or hell, even accepting love from somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's in and of itself, if you're not accepting love from someone, it's almost like denying them a blessing.
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
Absolutely.
That's what my brother Mo was telling me about, that kind of thing. He's like, so what if you're only doing things for people, but you don't let people do things for you? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's me.
Yeah,
I love doing things for people. I just stubborn to get help for myself.
To do the same thing,
because I feel like I can just do it myself.
Yeah, man.
Dude, I thank you for all that, man. Just sharing your thoughts on it. And before we wrap this up, I just wanted to ask one question before we go, and and I'll share my thoughts as well. What do you think our purpose here in life is? And I'll start with my answer, and I just want to continue on what he was saying, how the leader is the servant. And then you also mentioned love. For me, I think our purpose here is to love and serve each other.
Yeah.
And nothing's better, that feeling of just, like I mentioned before, just to glorify someone else's glory. I love helping that person that person just came up, because I know where he came from.
Yeah,
he was struggling. For me, it's hard for me to get help because I know I can do it.
Sure.
I believe I can do it.
Sure.
But I need to just start opening up, a little bit more, and let these people show me some love. Because there are people that love me to death.
Yeah.
And they hate that they can't help me because I refuse their help.
Yes. But
I will always be there to help them. But that's what I believe in for myself. I believe my purpose is here to love and serve each other. I tell people now, I will always serve my kids. I don't care. I didn't have my kids to serve me. No, I had my kids because I knew it would be a blessing.
Yeah. And
I knew it would teach me things that I've never even thought of before I even had kids. And I've been grateful for my kids. Just been able to serve them, and been able to look at myself and see who I really am.
Oh yeah.
So, but that's my little answer on that question. So,
I think, and mine maybe comes from more of a spiritual side, but I think that God has certain characteristics, and I think that He created us in His image and His likeness, and I think that we are meant to reach those characteristics, and I think that goes back to servitude. It comes back to serving, and I think ultimately finding your true self, and I feel like the only way that I can find my true identity is through God's identity, is through Him, finding out who He is. Because if I know about my maker, I know about my origin story, and I know what I'm made of, you know what I mean? And I'm able to see the things I'm good at. And I think this is common with all God's creation is servitude, being able to serve one another and love one another. I think loving people regardless of how they treat you, view you, and just having a concern for their well-being at all times. I think that's the purpose, is to treat each other well, is to do well by mankind, and that's why I love doing what I do, because I feel that so strongly that you have to love people. You have to love God's creation. You can't say you love God if you don't love His creation. That's a part of Him. So if I say I love God, but I don't love y'all, it's like, then you don't love God, right? Because y'all are a piece of your Creator, whatever y'all believe in out there. But for me, that Almighty God, you know what I mean? And that's why people tell me all the time, well, oh, you're training, you better make sure you're charging. I'm like, well, hold on. You don't tell me what I need to do. You know what I mean? First of all, if I want to train these kids for free, I'm going to train these kids for free, because this is serving these kids a greater purpose. I want to help this kid. So don't tell me I need to charge this kid this amount of money when if this kid gets a scholarship because I trained him for free 20 times. Yeah. If this kid doesn't get a football scholarship at all, but he becomes a better man, I did what I needed to do.
And that, I laugh at that because that's the first thing people when you start something and they're like, man, you should start, having these people pay you to do. I hold the mitts. I hold the mitts for my kids and whatnot. And for a good cardio, I hold the mitts for other people that I work out with. Yeah. I hold the mitts. And they keep saying that, man, you need to do that as a class and starting like, no, this is something I find joy in. I find joy in teaching someone how to throw a jab and a cross. Yes. Because most people want to, I get detailed in it. Right. But I enjoy teaching you how to, how to do these things. But if it was with football or basketball or ballerina, whatever it may be, right, it's all out of love. It is. It's all out of love. I don't want no compensation for it's just like, I'll take a Big Mac. That's cool. Absolutely. A Big Mac and fries. That's cool. What I mean?
Yeah. That's what it should be. I think of an example. I got to work with John Pennicini a couple times. He's
good player, man.
Yeah, good ball player.
I walked in one time. This fool was huge, man. This guy was the power cleaning, 315. He did it 3 times. I was like, what grade are you in? He's like, I just got done with my senior season, so I'm just waiting. I'm like, wow. Dang, I was a senior. I was only power cleaning. I think
225.
225. That's it. He was doing 315. And I'm not saying he was just going up here. He was going down low. Like his butt was going down low and he was front squatting it up. Right. I'm like, ooh.
Well, and I looked at that. I was like, the fact that I got the opportunity to work with this guy, I felt like was a reward for what I do with the kids. I'm like, this is an NFL player, and he's reaching out to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've worked with him twice, and somebody found out I was working out with him, like, bro, how much you going to charge him? I said, what do you mean? Yeah. Like, bro, he's in the NFL. Okay. Like, bro, how much do you value yourself? I said, I value myself a lot, but, well, you should charge him, what they say, like $200. I'm like, dude. First of all, so you know what I did? I said, I'm training him for free. Yeah. I ain't about to make this dude pay me. I said, he came to me because he saw that I'm good at what I do and that I genuinely care about the people I train. Yeah. So I'm going to work with him and I don't want anything of him. And that's the difference. I'm like, it's about serving. It's not, because when you get caught up in the money and the business side of it too much, it doesn't become about the purpose anymore. Yeah. And that's what I think, that's the same thing with life and our purpose in life. We get caught up with business and we forget about the purpose. Yeah. And then by the time we've gotten so high with the business and there's only a little bit of life left, now we want to work on the purpose with 2 years left to live. And it's like, I should have been working on my purpose for all 78 years of my life. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with it. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, man, I just hope that, those guys that you do help out, without any compensations, any families you help out, I hope they pay it forward to someone else. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's what I love to see. Is that I was able to help this person. Like I said, you don't have to help me, but pay it forward and to watch them help someone else. That's just awesome. It is. Man. And so all the kids that I coach, I don't want no recognition. Nope. My love is to see you actually went and did something. Yep. Yeah, you actually went and did something. Yep. Darius, man, I want to thank you for being on our podcast. Coach
Darius Matthews. Yeah, sure. Brand new podcast.
Real quick, man. Real quick. Your 5 biggest big man in NBA. Who would you go with?
Top 5?
Top 5.
Centers?
Top 5.
Of all time.
Any big man. Let's go with centers, but you could tell about it. Because there's always been a big forward, a guy that's that can play the center spot. But your 5 biggest top guys.
I would go, you already know I'm biased with my number 1. Yeah. My number 1 pick is Shaquille O'Neal, obviously. Nobody's stopping Shaq, man. Physical dominance. People want to talk about the free throws, I don't care. Nobody was stopping the Diesel, Well, he had one move. You're right. One move that put him 6 all time. So I'm going with Shaq. My number 2, I'm going with the mailman, Karl Malone. Karl Malone was He's untouchable.
Thank you. You know
what I mean?
Not being,
I gotta give some of the
coming
Jazz
from
love.
not being a Jazz fan.
You know,
okay.
so I gotta go with the mailman.
But you're a player fan. So
I'm a player fan.
Yeah.
Big time player fan.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Shaq and Karl Malone as 1 and 2. I'll go with Hakeem Olajuwon at number 3. I'm gonna go with Tim Duncan at number 4.
Okay. What's up, Timmy?
And then, number 5, I gotta go with Kareem.
Okay.
Kareem, and a couple honorable mentions. You can't leave out Bill Russell, but that's my top 5.
I just watched the documentary on Kareem here on HBO Max, and I didn't know all that stuff about him. That's pretty cool.
Kareem's legit.
Yeah. Oh man, I just had it in my head. But he was just like Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay.
Yep, changed his name.
Kareem Abdul. What was his?
Lou Alcindor.
Lou Alcindor.
Lou Alcindor.
Yeah. And went to UCLA. What did he bring?
As Lou Alcindor?
UCLA? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And then he went to
Milwaukee.
And then that's when into
Kareem.
Muslim.
Yeah.
Man, what's cool about Kareem, man, there was in the documentary, there's a video of everyone celebrating. They just won the conference finals, the Eastern Conference Finals. So it was in the locker room. Kareem was in the locker room with a big ass book, reading. He was reading. And everyone's getting hyped up. Even Magic Johnson, when he was on the Lakers, Magic Johnson would be surprised, like, we gonna party, had all the girls, and everything was just ready, set up for us to just wild out. And you got Kareem over there reading a book. But he was nowhere near any of those activities. He was in his hotel room, just chilling. He learned the different languages, the Arabic language, which I think to me is like, dude, how that's a language most people go to Spanish or something else other than he went to Arabic and he learned that. That's cool that Kareem's on your top.
Wasn't he was in a movie with Bruce Lee?
Yeah.
Real good.
Was it Into the Dragon? Not Into the Dragon.
In the chest.
It was the one with Jim Kelly.
What's it called?
It might be The Last Dragon.
I think it was.
I think it was The Last Dragon.
They had that in the documentary and it was pretty cool.
He actually knows karate.
Yeah.
He's legit.
And he was teaching class. He was getting classes or going to Bruce Lee's classes. And he mentioned in there how he misses his dear friend Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And, man, he shot that movie and then a little bit after that's when Bruce Lee passed away. And so, but man, thank you for being on the podcast, man.
Yep. Appreciate you guys having me.
Right on, Coach.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
Tell everybody out there where they can find you and where they can look you up.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of the above. My Instagram handle, I think, is Coach_D_Matthews. Twitter is just Coach_Matthews. And then Facebook, just Darius Matthews. And then you can also find me on the Boss Skills Training page. I'm there.
Hey, man, if you big men want to know anything about the trenches, working on your skills, want to get to the next level, tune into his podcast, tune into Boss Skills. I'm pretty sure you can go up there and join from there, see how you can join the Boss Skills and get trained by, one of the guys that's been doing it for a long time. Again, we want to thank Darius Matthews for coming on the brand new podcast. Look us up on social media. We have Facebook, we got Instagram. I believe we got a Twitter account. So yeah, look us up. This will be on YouTube as well. So subscribe and comment. We'd love to talk back. So
absolutely.
Thank you for tuning in, man. Till next time, we'll see you.
Peace out.
Peace. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you.